Hi, Michael here for Info Exchange. In this video, I'm going to take a quick look at the VicEmergency app. I'm going to be looking on my iPhone. It'll be slightly different on different devices, but it should give you a good idea of what the app can do and how it can help you be prepared for an emergency. So let's go across to my phone now and we'll have a look at the basic features of the app.
So here we are on my iPhone. You'll see a range of apps that I've already downloaded here. This is just one of the pages I have on my phone, but what we're interested in is down on the bottom right hand corner, the VicEmergency app. You can identify it by its icon, which is a white box and a stylized flame of blue, red and white. You can see the name's also kind of been cut off here. It's a long name, but you should be able to identify the app from when you downloaded it. So all we've got to do to get into this app, and I'm going to show you getting into it from the very first time you download it, just select the app as you would any other app on your phone and it'll open up. Now the very first time you use this app, there's a couple of things you're going to need to set up, permissions that you're going to need to give. Because this app relies on both notifications and your location on a map and the location of other points on a map, it's going to need you to share your location with the app. Now, I would say do that while using the app only, but if you don't share your location, most of the functions of this app won't work. So you're trusting the VicEmergency services in this sense. So if you click on allow while using the app, that's going to let that happen. And the other thing is it needs to send you notifications. One of the big points of this app is that you set up zones to watch and you get notifications when there's an incident or a warning in an area. So you do need to let it send you notifications. Later on, when you've got things set up, you can change how often you get notifications. You can turn them on and off. But right now, I would select allow. And also, commonly when you go into this app, there's going to be updates and changes to what it can do. They're constantly working on it and improving it. So you may just get this little what's new message. All you've got to do on that one, have a read of it if you'd like, just to know what they've done recently, and click close to get to the main page of the app. Now when you land, because I've allowed it to have my location, it knows where I am on the map. So it's already starting by looking at warnings and incidents in my area. Now a warning is often something that's been issued, that's some kind of alert that will often last for a period of time. So in this case, if I select warnings, I can see that this particular warning for my area is actually about the coronavirus. It's about the pandemic. So this is an ongoing thing. This app will take in all sorts of health emergencies and alerts and warnings. So the pandemic is in here as an ongoing warning. I can go out of that. And the other thing to note here is these numbers will also show incidents or warnings you haven't looked at yet. So there is incidents here on the map, and these can range from anything from a tree down to a grass fire to something bigger. So every time a emergency services like the SES or the CFA attends an incident, this is logged in this app and you're able to see what's happened. So in my case, there's 7 incidents around me, and when we click on that, we'll get a map, which that blue pin there is showing my location, and the list of incidents here is showing everything that's happened around me. Now for today, there's actually been quite strong winds, so there's quite a few trees down, and what the incidents are showing me here is different trees down around me, and the most recent one being 11 minutes ago, right up to older alerts from several hours ago. To have a look at an incident that you're interested in, you can just select it. It'll show where it is on the map, and it will show what information they have around it. Usually this will be something like the status, so it'll say whether the incident's ongoing or whether in this case it's been completed. So somebody's attended this tree being down in Bandura. Right now these are more small minor incidents, but in a high weather conditions and a high risk season, you may see many more things like bushfires or flooding in this app. There's incidents that you would see early on and keep track of. So that's an example of what it looks like on the map. Now if I go out, you can go back to this kind of main menu. And the other thing I just want to show you quickly is up the top right is the menu for this app. Now on any app, commonly you'll see a menu which is described as the hamburger, which is kind of 3 lines. What this is something you select and that will come out from the screen. So if I select menu here now, you'll see that the expanded menu for this app pops out. Now there's a couple of things here about creating a profile. I won't go into that now. There's some information, some videos online for VicEmergency around creating a profile, what that means. You'll also find, speaking of which, that there's some support here. There's help with using this app, and if you go on that, I'm going to select that quickly now. What it should do is open up some videos. You'll also find those videos available on YouTube. I'll put this information in the links and tools document. Something worth checking out also is the icons explained. All of these warnings and alerts will have a system for rating warnings and alerts and different types of incidents, and they'll use icons. So when you first use this app, it's well worth spending a little bit of time just going through what these different things mean as different levels and scales of alerts. So well before a high risk day, it's worth being really well aware of what these different icons mean and how you should be responding to those. Also in the menu, it's worth noting that there's actually some links out to the VicEmergency website and other support resources, both for relief and recovery and news about different incidents. So during a disaster or high weather and high risk seasons, there'll be a lot more information to access here. But that's just worth knowing that this app is not just for alerts well ahead, it's also useful to get information of different ways to prepare and manage disasters before, during and after. Alright, the other main thing I want to show, and I'm not going to fully set it up here, a big thing to note, a big feature of this app and apps like it are what's called watch zones. Now if you look down the page here, you'll see there is a what is a watch zone explanation, and it's explained basically as an area you set to receive app alerts for warnings and incidents. What's valuable about this is that you not only set up alerts for your area by default, but you keep an eye on different emergencies and incidents in other areas where you have friends and family. So for me, that means I keep an eye on areas where my family are living out in the country and the bush. So I want to know if an incident pops up for them or whether there's something to be aware of. So just as this app's for you, it's also for the people you care about. It's also for you being able to know the people you care about are safe. So what you can do, just to introduce you to how, there's videos on exactly stepping through this process, but to create a watch zone, normally it's best to have a profile set up. I'm not going to do that now, but I will show you. It warns you to set up a profile. If you don't want to do that, you can still click next. And just to give you an idea of what it does, there'll be some terms of use and some conditions because it is actually accessing data to do this. So by all means, take your time to read through these and understand what the app does. If you find the language and the amount of information overwhelming, try and show someone you know or get some help with that. Largely, it's basically about sharing information and sending you alerts. If you wanting to get those alerts, you shouldn't be overly concerned that this is an official app. It's not going to send you things you don't want. So I would say click accept to get to the terms and conditions, and it brings you to the map. Now you can see I have one basic zone set up here, which is in a radius from the point I put it. What I might want to do though is take somebody else's address and maybe someone further out. Let's see. If I type in an address where they are. So just for this example, I'm going to look at something in Beechworth. So now I'm looking at, oops, I didn't want that one. I wanted Beechworth. So if I want Sydney Road in, let's say, Emerald then. That will do. So any address you type in, I don't want to use a real address, so I'm just giving you an example. You type in that address, it's going to zoom in on that zone. You can set how wide you want that radius to be. You can go up with the plus, and it's giving you a wide radius along, or in this case, I might want to go a smaller zone around that address, or maybe even just 5Ks or 10Ks. Click next. You can name the watch zone after the person who lives at that address. I'm going to call it test zone for the purpose of this. And this is where you also set what you want to hear about from there. So I would always, generally these things that are always on, if there's a watch and alert or an emergency or an evacuate in that zone, you can't turn that off because that's critical information. You can choose though to not get information on every little thing that happens. There's lots of things happening all the time, trees down, little incidents. You can choose here to turn those off. Maybe you want just bushfires or grass fires. Maybe you want all fire incidents. Some of the things you might want to turn off are things like animal alerts. I've got them turned off at the moment. Animal incidents can be all kinds of things, spills or leaks. You can go through this in your own time and think about what information you'd like to hear about that zone. Once you've done that though, all you've got to do is hit save, and now I have another watch zone in here. So this will send me notifications of those alerts, and also, as well as seeing my own watch zone, I can have a look. Just as I did with the default setting of my own address, I can go through and have a look at things that are happening around here. So similarly, there is also a bit of high wind damage going around today, even in Geelong. So you can see various incidents. And that is effectively the two core functions of the VicEmergency Services app. The default of incidents, warnings and alerts in your area, and the functionality of setting up a watch zone so you can be alerted about things that are happening around the areas of your friends and family. There'll be some links in the links and tools document to a range of VicEmergency Service apps that go through these functions in more detail, but I hope that this has given you a great simple introduction to what the app can do, and it got you thinking about, if you don't have it already, why this might be a useful thing for you to have on your phone. Alright, thank you very much, and I hope that was useful for you.